Thank you for joining me today during our Get School by the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. My name is Aurora Ortiz and I'm an education specialist. Today I'm going to share with you a short story where we're going to learn about how the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County recovers and further separates the paper that you put in your yellow recycling bin, and also how it gets recycled after it leaves the recovered materials processing facility. I will also share a demonstration on how to make homemade recycled paper. So let's get started. Our title of the story today is Anthony's Good News Has Finally Arrived. And Anthony has this wonderful news that he has to share with someone very special in his life. And Anthony comes up with this bright idea on how to share this news. So he decides to sit down and start writing a letter on recycled paper. Then what Anthony does is he steps outside to put the letter in the mailbox so that way it can be delivered directly to this very special person. And on his way, he notices the yellow and blue recycling bin. And then he starts thinking, I wonder what happens with the paper once it's put in the yellow recycling bin. I wonder how it gets recycled. The Solid Waste Authority hires haulers to pick up our residents' garbage and recycling separately. The two are never mixed. Once the hauler has provided service to the neighborhood where he is working from, he takes that material to the transfer station. Once he arrives to the transfer station, he delivers that material directly to the tipping floor. Here's an example of one of the haulers who has picked up paper from the yellow recycling bin and has put it in a separate pile. Then our tractor trailers are loaded from the top, and then they are weighed once they leave the transfer station. This is our recovered materials processing facility, also known to all of Palm Beach County as our recycling center. Although we do not recycle within this facility, what we do is we recover all of Palm Beach County's recyclables. So everything you put in your yellow and blue recycling bin is transported to this facility in two separate vehicles, and also delivered in two separate areas of this facility. So once it's inside, then what we do is we further separate the material and we bale it, and then we sell the material to different manufacturers who are the ones that take the material and recycle it into new items. So you see, if you recycle right every day, we're able to save more natural resources for future generations. Let's go ahead and take a look inside and see how the yellow side operates. This is what we call the yellow side, and this is the side that receives all of your paper products. Once it reaches this facility, then it goes through a negative sort. We remove again any item that should have never been placed, and then the star screen helps us separate the cardboard from the paper with giant star-shaped blades, which do not damage the paper. Then after that, it goes through another negative sort just to ensure that nothing was mixed, and then it goes through the trommel, which cleans the paper like a giant salad spinner. After the paper is cleaned, then we bale it and send it off to the different manufacturers, and they take our recyclables and then make it into new products. Here is a picture of the paper bales leaving our facility. Once they arrive to the mills, the paper is broken down into fibers. So after it's broken down into fibers, they put it into huge tubs where it is cleaned and all the ink is removed. Then it goes through a screening process where they remove the paper clips and the staples. Then again, it's de-inked, cleaned again, and then it's put through a thickening process. So they want to make sure that all the fiber adheres. And after that, they put a brightener into the tub to make sure the paper is nice and clean. Then it gets dried. It's put through a special filter to dry it, and then it's combined with virgin wood fiber to make it nice and thick. And then after that, the pulp is pressed to form paper. And after that, well, then they dry it again. It has to be very nice dry so we can use it to write on. And then after that, the paper is prepared for its final usage. Meanwhile, Anthony's letter has finally arrived to its final destination. And it has been delivered to that special person. That special person sits down and starts reading that letter and gets so excited over this wonderful news that Anthony has sent. And the wonderful news is that she has a new family member, and her name is Ava. That was the exciting news that Anthony had. In the meantime, what can you do? Well, we can exercise the 4 R's, and it goes like this: reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink, and make sure to recycle right every day. Now let's start with our homemade recycled paper demonstration. But before we begin, I always like to remind you that whenever you do this project, you ensure that you have parental supervision. Let's go over the materials we're going to need in order to make our homemade recycled paper. We're going to need an old blender. We are also going to need old towels, and this is just in case we make a mess, we're able to clean up quickly. We're going to need a rolling pin. We are also going to need a wooden spoon. We are also going to need some shredded paper, which it could be white or it could be colored shredded paper, whatever your preference is in color. We're also going to need an empty container to collect the water that we are going to extract while we're making our recycling paper. This part here is optional. You can have some seeds that you can add to your recycled paper, or if you like to, you can add sprinkles. We are going to need some sponges also. We are going to need some water to add into our blender that already has the shredded paper. We are going to need also a screen. And finally, we are going to need a tub. This is a perfect size in order to make our homemade recycled paper. So let's get started. First, we are going to place our shredded paper inside this blender, just like this. I'm just going to pour it in. Now we're going to add the water. And now we're going to turn our blender on. Hold it securely to make sure it doesn't flip or fall over and we make even a greater mess. Now, if you want to use colored paper, this would be the time to add that color paper to your mixture. So I'm going to add my favorite color, which is the pink. And again, we're going to place that lid securely back onto the blender. We're going to close it. We're going to hold it to secure the blender while it's cutting up the paper. Okay, we're going to turn off our blender, and our mixture is nice. I'm going to remove portion from the blender, and we're going to put this away for a moment. So our pulp is ready, and we're going to pour it into the tub that we have carefully without making a mess. Use the towels to clean my hands. Now comes the fun part. Now what we're going to do is we are going to stir the pulp just like they do in the factory. But of course they do it with machines. We were making our homemade, so we were pretending, right? So we're going to put our hand in there and we're going to mix in all the pulp. Oh, it feels so cool. Feels like if I was stirring oatmeal. That's what it feels like. It's not yucky or anything. It's really nice. It feels really nice and soft. So we've stirred our pulp. Everything is nice and mixed. Look how pretty this color is. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our screen and we're going to submerge it into the pulp. And then we're going to start to blot all the water out of the pulp. Because remember, there's a lot of water in this tub. The paper does absorb the water. And we're going to clean this off as much as possible. And now we're going to start squeezing. Look at all the water that comes out of this pulp. Start squeezing, squeezing, squeezing as much as we can. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is take one of our blotting papers and place it right on top of our screen. And we're going to flip the screen over just like this. Let me move this out of the way so you get a better view. And we're going to start tap, tap, tap on top of the screen so that way the screen releases the pulp and it falls right onto our blotting paper. Just gently. And here we have our recycled paper starting to take shape. Next thing we're going to do is take another piece of blotting paper and put it right on top of our homemade recycled paper. And you can see the blotting paper is already beginning to absorb the excess water. Then I'm going to take one of my empty containers and I'm going to take one of our sponges and I'm going to start squeezing even more water out of our homemade recycled paper. Look how much water starts to come out of that paper. Now we want to make sure that we extract as much water as possible so that way our paper dries quicker and then we're able to use it for our project. So here's more water that's coming out of that homemade recycled paper. I'm going to continue to blot as much water as possible. We're still, look at this, look how much water is coming out. One more. Okay. Our next step, what we are going to do is we're going to take a rolling pin and we're going to try to smooth out our homemade recycled paper so that way it's nice and smooth, it's not as lumpy, and then we can use it for any project that we like. And if it starts coming out of the edges from the blotting paper, that's okay because it's taking its own shape. It's very unique. Each piece of recycled paper, it's very unique. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is remove the top layer, which is that blotting paper. I'm going to put it off to the side. Here is our recycled paper. If you want to, you can remove that excess. And you just throw it back into the container. We're removing the excess. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of paper. It could be cardboard, it could be construction paper, it doesn't matter. We're going to place it on our table and then we're going to place our recycled paper and put it right on top. And then we're going to remove that other layer of blotting paper. Very slowly, so it doesn't rip our homemade recycled paper. Nice and gently. And here it is, our very own homemade recycled paper. Now I would place this in a windowsill or in a sunny area so that way it dries. And then after it's completely dried, it may take up to 24 hours to dry. We're able to start using it for any art project that we like. So let me show you what I've done with my homemade recycled paper. I took my paper and I put it inside a frame and I placed a picture in the middle of it and then I put it in a pretty frame and I'm going to gift it to someone special. So I hope that you liked my presentation today and I hope that you learned something new about the Solid Waste Authority. And if you'd like to have the instructions on how to make your very own homemade recycled paper, well, you can go to our website, which is swa.org/education, and we do have those instructions available for you. So thank you again for joining me. I hope that you learned something new about the Solid Waste Authority. My name is Aurora Ortiz, and I hope that you always exercise the 4 R's. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink, and always recycle right every day. Till next time.